When did you get into jazz, and when did you get out of jazz?
Well, that's a good question, because you'd have to say what you mean by jazz. Now, if we're talking about tunes, I was always into that because my mother would sing tunes. She and my Aunt Armida would do duets of sort of like show tunes, out of which a lot of jazz comes from. A lot of show tunes. So they would do that. They would learn the lyrics and be singing to each other. And I made it my responsibility to learn how to play ukulele, which we had them hanging around, to be able to accompany them. And that was one of the greatest joys of my life, man, when I was able to play ukulele behind my mother and her sister, right, in their harmony. That felt so important, so great. On my little uke, yeah. So that's one aspect of jazz, for sure. Coming from an Afro-Rican culture, and what they call descarga music, that means discharge yourself, unload it, right? There's this kind of genre called unload it, man, cut it loose, And so coming from there, no, it was all about that. So jazz is freedom to express. I come from a culture where, like African culture, where drumming and dancing and singing is all freedom of expression, and, without beginning or end. It's up to the individual. So that side of it, I was born into that side of it. Right? The blowing part, I was born into it. You don't blow, you don't play. Why even bother? See? So, but when we're talking about more formal tunes and pieces like that, the guys that I knew tunes. Like the Arrogance come from musical. Sally and Augie came from musical backgrounds. Right? They knew standards, they knew the tunes, they knew the composers. I'm not saying that's what they were up to, but yeah, they had a good musical sort of contribution. When we were kids, they were, into the music deeply. The more professional and what we would call classical jazz music, and musicians. Sally was always talking about his mentor in his mind was Buddy Rich, and I'm sure Augie had his saxophone heroes. Could be Stan Getz. See, so the music was always there in some form or other, right? Formally, classically, and spiritually. It's always there in one form or other for me. And the deepest stuff was the Afro-Cuban stuff, which was a serious sort of like spiritual mode of music, right? Which is about going deeper, like shaman music. This is important. Shaman music, using music to go deeper, right? So it's to purge yourself of what ails you, and what you suffer, or what you fear, see, or what you hope for, and it's not happening. See, what you are trying to create. See, all of that dissolves in the stream, in the molten sort of rhythmic patterns of the meditations or shamanic purpose of the drums, which is purifying. It's not just to become primitive and become a Neanderthal. No, it's purifying. It works on your mind, works on your feelings, works on your body. Because we're all time machines. First and foremost, we're time machines. So when we talk about drums and the cultures, we are that. We're all of that. Because you're out of touch with, let's say, your African roots, because if you're a Caucasoid, as I say, right, Caucasian Caucasoids, you're just out of touch with the rhythm, but it's there. Your heart is always beating. Your mind and your thoughts are all, and your emotions are all part of a complex symphony of stuff, right? And so at least you see a manifestation of that in terms of various cultures, where it's very strong, because they are living that sort of complex, cosmic sense of time. It's like nature is that. All of it comes from what is, and that's nature. So it's all nature sound, if you can see that. Animals, all sounds of nature. And so when we're talking about intellectual or European culture, well, that's something that's added to it. It's also built of time, built of, let's say, emotion. And so where the natives have songs that they sing, You know, a lot of composers, Stravinsky would take some of his melodies from native cultures. He'd go and visit native cultures in order to be inspired by them, because what they were doing was pure and so on and so forth. Come in.